All of my adult life has been mostly pretty good when Trump was president. That means nothing if you're a smart person. If you look at life with the simplest mind and say, things were awesome when this happened, which means things were good because of that thing. That's a causation versus correlation fallacy. In 2024, my life is amazing. I have health, family, people, a job, school that I thoroughly enjoy. And I think the trajectory we're on with Trump and his administration is horrid. The Republican Party is horrid. We're going to be in this perpetual stupid media cycle because the media, they're really good at making us pit each other against stupid shit. Media has coddled Trump so much. How much stuff I tell people, did you know Trump did X, Y, and Z, and they don't know. So that's why I'm here for you. I'm going to reel you in and I'm going to tell you the truth. Trump is talking about taking Greenland and Panama, two places that were never talked about during his campaign trail. People are flipping how they typically think about annexations of countries and completely jumping to Trump's side because they like him. But it's a great distraction. They don't want you to hear about Trump having the richest cabinet of all time. There was no new wars under Trump is what I've seen on all my videos. Yet he wants to talk about going to another country and taking it. But the conversation is so stupid. Why are we even talking about this? It's not like it's going to happen. That's the Trump presidency. Trump has always been a person to talk about these crazy ideas. The media discusses it because it's salacious. Some people will defend it. Some people will move the goalpost. When Trump talked about the police immunity thing, I only saw a little bit of coverage and people kind of moved on. Trump's tactic is beautiful. When he said the police immunity thing, he also said a million things right after that. And people were trying to scramble and talk about it all when you really just can't. When people pushed him and said, well, like, you kill an innocent person, they should go to jail. And he was like, yeah, duh, of course. Because he doesn't mean anything. He doesn't care what the topic is actually about in its nuanced detail. He's just going to say a buzzword and a slogan and it's going to get you people. I mean, it worked. You voted for him. We talked about if Kamala was really black or not. When he was also at the same time talking about wants to obliterate Palestinians. What the fuck are we doing? Biden pardoning Hunter, which I think there is a nuanced discussion there of presidents and their power and did Biden have ties to Hunter's illegal activities? He did not, but the coverage on it was insane. Piers Morgan talked about it with so many different guests. When Trump pardoned his team of people who did illegal shit as well, there was no coverage like Piers talking about this. No one talked about it ad nauseum that they did the same vigor with Biden stuff. Stop, guys, stop. When we talk about Trump pardoning a Blackwater criminal, this guy who killed innocent people in the Middle East, this monster, he got pardoned. No one talked. Where was the Piers Morgan show where he had like 12 people on talking about the nuance of this? You know, when he was president, he had a military raid which killed a young girl, an American girl, on his watch, his call. How much of the media talked about that? It definitely didn't last. I've heard more about him talking about the UV lights, which funny enough should be under the spotlight, but God, I'm good. But we didn't hear much about him dropping the Moab. He killed that Iran general, and it was big news at the time, World War III. And we moved on, and people have a very short selective memory where nobody talks about how we almost started World War III, and we talk about how there was no new wars. There's no new wars under Trump. That's just not true. We were in active duty in many places, and even though he didn't start it, you would never grant that same sort of clemency that you would give to someone like Obama or Biden. And when Biden did pull out of Afghanistan, which, again, we could have a nuanced discussion of the proper way to do it, but it was under Trump's Marshall Accord, and people got mad at the actual result of pulling out of the country. During the time of Trump's presidency, he moved an embassy to Jerusalem, possibly led to the attacks on October 7th. And it wasn't like tensions were nicer after the riots of the Jerusalem embassy move. So I think it's easy to say that he wasn't this peaceful candidate. If you want to have a cop-out answer and say there was nothing new, Gaza's been going on for years, the way we need to talk about this is with substance and say, well, this action led to this action, which led to this result. That's how we do it as adults. We don't just say, Trump just walked in and there was a mess. How did he try to clean up the mess? He even just said that grocery prices were not going to go down under his term. The possibility of it is very low. And no one talked about that. That was his whole point. This is who we voted for. This is what the consumers wanted. They wanted a guy who is a sexual liable rapist. Republicans have this disgust about transing the children and then at the same time protect Matt Gaetz and say we will not release the report. And when the report gets released, they say, well, technically he didn't do anything illegal. I think about that, of how sickening it is that these people walk around with us. Biden sniffing children, ew, and then Trump will say, I want to have my daughter. And they just ignore it. When Matt Gaetz had his report still lingering before it was released, Marjorie Taylor talked about protecting the PDF files in the Republican Party. We have Biden, who is protecting the Social Security benefits of many Americans. We have Biden, who is protecting people in medical debt so that they don't have their medical debt show up in credit reports. I have many critiques for Biden. When he was elected, I was pissed off. But I also recognize that of the two, I found him better, and my expectations were very low, but he blew them out of the water with his policy. I'm not saying that because I just like the guy. I don't. I can tell you pound for pound why his policy was better than Trump. And if you believe Trump's were better, please tell me. But typically the responses I hear is, don't touch my guns. And everything else is just